Hello everyone, I'm Pure Light. I love Jesus and I love playing Minecraft, and so I'm going to do some mining and some crafting and some talking about Jesus. It's great to have you along with me. Let's go. Hello. Today I'm starting over here at our neighbouring village where I've been at work making everything a bit safer and a bit nicer. After we linked the base up with pathways and so on last time, I felt a little bit bad that the village was still a bit of a mess. I am trying really hard to keep these guys alive, but they are not making it easy. Anyway, I put up a fence around the area to sort of make it a bit more secure, and I moved their fountain into a bigger town square area where they could all gather and chat and sell their goods. Some of them are, admittedly, a little bit limited in their movements, but at least they won't be hurling themselves off cliffs or down ravines anymore. At some point, while that was going on, I had a visit from a wandering trader who sold me some cherry blossom saplings. And I thought that they would look good up on the hill here. So let's put one over here. Yep, that's great. And let's put another one. Okay, mind out everybody. Let's put one here. Yep, yeah. Oh, that's gonna. Oh, we've already got some sort of falling petals coming down. I reckon there might be room for another one actually. So if I go over here, put one down there. Now watch out everyone, don't get caught in a growing tree. Yeah, there we go. And there's a few people up here now. Our leather worker has been joined by a couple of farmers, and so they can enjoy the cherry blossom ambience together. We are going to be playing with a few different plants and trees in today's episode, but first of all, let's head back to base to read today's Bible verse. Okay, so here we are. It's the last in our little series of 7, and of course a chisel bookshelf only holds 6 books, so the last one is on the wall here. If you haven't seen the other 6 episodes, by the way, you might want to go back and watch them and see how our world developed right from the beginning. So far, our verses have recorded how Jesus said, I am the bread of life, I am the light of the world. He said, I am the gate, I am the good shepherd, I am the resurrection and the life. And then last time we had, I am the way, the truth and the life. And today we have the last of Jesus' I am sayings in John's Gospel. So here it is. I am the vine. You are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. John 15, verse 5. So, we'll think a bit more about vines and branches and fruit in due course, but first let me show you what we're going to build today. So if we head out here across the central area that we built last time, so you'll remember that we had a bit of a bare area back here, having terraformed the rest of it sort of beside the path. And in this gap here, we've got the hill, and then this is where I'm going to build today. And thought I would build a greenhouse in this gap. And in particular, at the back here, we're going to put a bee farm, a honey farm. And you can see I've got it sort of laid out, ready to go. And I've got put in one slice of the contraption. Because as you can see down here, we have 5 bee nests. I got these when they kind of spawned when the trees grew, because the trees were planted next to some flowers. And so we've got 5 nests with bees in them ready to make our farm. But I'm not going to put them in yet because that's a thing for right at the end. So as you can see in this first section, we have a slice up the top there. We've got some jack-o'-lanterns for light. We've got these hoppers down the bottom. This is where the honey is going to go. And we've got this section here which has got the redstone and stuff on it, which we're going to repeat 4 more times. So let's get the bits and pieces that we need. I've just done it in some bright coloured wool just to help me see what's going on. We're going to need dispensers and hoppers. We've got barrels and a few redstone components, repeaters, comparators, and some redstone dust as well to link everything up. So what we're going to need is, I'm going to put jack-o'-lanterns in here, and they're just to light up the area where the bees are going to be down below. And then the next thing we want to do is put in the dispensers, and it's a bit difficult without the bee nests in place to sort of see quite how it's going to work, but if I put these in temporarily, and the dispensers on top, let's see, oh no, that's upside down. I always forget that you have to put dispensers in from below. Okay, right, so don't pretend those are bee nests. Let's get rid of those. And yes, we need temporary blocks above, don't we? So let's see if we can shift across here and get that in. There we go. Now, is that facing in the right direction? Can't tell. Let's have a look. Hang on. Yes, that's it. So the little hole where they dispense is down the bottom. So that's perfect. So we need to get the rest in like that. If I can get myself out of the way. There we are. Dispenser. And another one. And another one. So that's where the glass bottles are going to get dispensed downwards into the bee nests. And then the hoppers will take the honey away. So now we need some more blocks here. That's going to carry the signal for us. And you'll see down the bottom we've got these comparators. So they're going to kind of compare what's in the bee nests and take a signal out of there. So I am going to put some pretend bee nests in here to put the comparators up against. And then we can take those out. And let's put these down. Oh, no, I've done the same thing again. Okay, so, yep, they have to go from this direction. I can never remember what direction you have to place things from. I don't do redstone terribly often. Okay, so comparators, they go, that's it. And then they're sort of facing out from the bee nests. So they'll read what's happening in the bee nest and see whether or not it's full of honey. And when it is full of honey, they will send out a redstone signal coming out from the comparators. So let's put that down. And the redstone signal is going to come across there. And then these bits, I don't think I've got the... Yes, get some glass. The glass, these bits need to be on glass because the redstone signal needs to kind of go through it. And if it was a normal block, that wouldn't happen. So got redstone on there, a bit more glass across there, and then you can see the redstone sort of goes through that little corner bit there, and then back over the top. 1, 2, 3, 4 to make it up to the 5, and then more jack-o'-lanterns just to keep the redstone all nicely lit. And then the signal's going to come that last, so it's going to come 5, so it's going to be a strength of 5 by the time it gets here. Then it'll go into a repeater and then into that block at the top. Yeah, that all seems to be right. And through this block, and then that will put the signal down into the dispenser to say, yep, that bee nest is full of honey, you can dispense the bottle to get it. So hopefully that'll work out once the bees are all in. And we also need, yes, so these dispensers, they need to stay full of bottles, because otherwise they might suck the honey back in and then the whole thing would break. So we've got these hoppers to go into each one so that we can keep them topped up with bottles, and it should all continue working. And then I've got barrels going in the top as well to go down into it. We may find that we don't really need barrels because it's a bit of a huge amount of bottles that you need, but nonetheless, yeah, we'll start off like that. So there we go, that is the mechanism in place. That in order to put the bees in, what we're going to have to do is wait for night time. And so what I'll do before that is I will build up the walls, get the rest of the thing built, and then I'll bring you back to show you where we're up to. Okay, so here we go. We've got our bee farm all built up. All we need now is the bees, and then we can put the thing, get the thing going. But we need it to be night time for that, because if you put it in the daytime, the bees will all pop out and go everywhere. So we're just waiting for the sun to go down, and then we can put all the bee nests in place, and the bees will stay inside because they're asleep because it's night time. But yeah, sun's just going down, almost ready to go. And we've got some glass on hand to seal them in, and then we can sleep. And I just want to make sure the sun properly is down so none of them decide that it's time to wake up. Let's get the nests ready. Yep, I reckon that's it. Okay, nest number 1 is in. Okay, oh, and it worked already. It detected that there was honey in that one. Yep, that one too. Let's get these in. And I think most of these were full of honey, actually. And let's get the last one in. Yes, that one must be not quite full, I think. Right. Get all of the glass in, and now we can sleep the night away. Wonderful. Excellent. And you heard that? That was the bees all popping out, ready to harvest the nectar from those flowers. So that's it. That's up and running and should soon be producing lots of honey. So now that that's in, that's the back bit done, we need a proper building to fill in this gap in our base. So we've got all the materials ready. Let's get going. There we go. I'm just putting the finishing touches to the greenhouse here. It seems to have come together. There's one little thing that I spotted that I haven't quite done, and that is if we head up here, we've got these two kind of hanging areas here with things going. Sort of the dry one over here with the cacti, and the wet one over here with the sugarcane. And this one, I didn't quite finish putting the chains on to hang it from. So I think I've got all of them except this one. So that's it. So now that is all sorted and the cactus is growing over there. And from here you can see some of the things we've made. There's a little row of sweet berries at the top. And if we head back down the ladder here, you saw we've got flower beds at each, or rather garden beds at each end of the greenhouse. This one's got wheat and beetroot, and then down the other end we've got a bed with some potatoes and carrots. And then over here, they're not quite producing yet, we've got some pumpkins over here. Oh look, the melons are there, started to grow in place. And what else we got? Oh, we've got glowberries over here dangling down, and then over here we've got some vines, so and they're dangling down, so they'd be ready to harvest if I wanted to use some vines, which I probably will do actually when we get on to our next project, but we'll come to that in a second. What else have we got in here? Well, of course we've got the bees. They've been working away producing honey. If we go in here into the back, this is also sort of been turned into more of a sort of closed in room, and inside here we've already got all these bottles of honey, and we can turn those into honey blocks, and that makes 38 blocks so far, and some more of those, and we get the bottles back. And so what we can do is put those bottles back in to the dispensers. So if I show you up here, obviously we don't really know which dispensers have become a bit in need, so we're just going to spread them out evenly between all of them, and I've gradually been adding bottles as we've gone along as well, because you don't want them to run out of bottles. That's one of the downfalls of this particular farm. You do need an awful lot of glass. There we go. Oh, and over here we've got our little tables with a couple of plant samples on each one. Oh, this is an eye blossom. That was one that I got from a wandering trader as well. I hadn't seen one of those before. And some other bits and pieces. And then back here, this is also a bit more like a little room. And we've got our little work area here and all the seeds and plants and other bits and pieces of storage. So for the moment we don't need those chains anymore, or those bits. I'll put those leaves in here, and I think that's probably, I've been eating the carrots as I go along. And yeah, so there it is, our little greenhouse. And I put in the floor here just to sort of with a bit of water in it, partly just to make it all look nice and lush and well watered, but also just for a little bit of colour. So a bit of blue amongst all the green and the other flower colours. So there we go, our nice greenhouse. And then round the back, just to sort of make sure it all fits in, we've added a little bit of leaves and bushes and a load of this bamboo that we picked up on our adventures a couple of episodes ago, and I've spread some of it out back here where it can grow, and yeah, add a bit to sort of the height of things behind the greenhouse. And you can see at the back here we've got this roof area here that kind of sticks out because that's where the honey farm is, and slightly strange arrangement here. If we want to go in, we can go in through the door and down a ladder, and this helps us to yeah, if we need to kind of come back, if something goes wrong with the farm, we can see what's what, and we can fill up those dispensers as well. So yep, want to make sure the door's closed, yes, and let's head back out again. Because having got that one done, I think we can move on to the other thing that I wanted to get done in this particular episode, and that is some more stuff in this same area. We've filled in that gap over there really nicely, but this bit sort of here is all, there's not really much here. It's all a bit plain, and there's nothing really on the hillside here. I did wonder about putting the greenhouse here originally, but I think that's a much better spot for it, down over there next to the cows. But over here, as I say, it's all a little bit kind of all looks a bit sort of weird and temporary. So I thought what I would do is kind of terraform this area, get it all looking nice, maybe add some leaves and some nice things down here, get this a bit more sort of like a cliff around here. And the other thing that I've been wanting to do is I want to transform our tree at the middle here, the spawn tree. Yes, the first tree that we saw when we spawned into this world, and yeah, it'd be nice to get a really good, nice tree in the middle of here at the sort of centre point of our base. Well, we got some nice weather for growing things, so why don't we get going and see what we can make of this area. When you chop down trees in Minecraft, the leaves gradually despawn, unless you've left some of the wood in place. If the leaves are still connected to the wood, to the trunk, they don't die. In the verse we read, Jesus talked about remaining connected to the source of life. He spoke of himself as the vine, or the true vine, in verse 1 of that chapter. This was a familiar image for people of his day. Not only were there lots of grapevines around, but over the years God's people had often been described as a grapevine that God looked after and tended, and from which he hoped to get some fruit. The fruit that God wanted from his people was behaviour and attitudes that pleased and honoured him. He wanted to see them living lives of obedience and kindness and justice and loyalty and love. He wanted them to reflect back to him the compassion and justice that he had shown to them, so the world would know what kind of a God he was. We read that the Israelites had never fully done that, though. They had failed to produce good fruit. Until now. Because now, here was Jesus, an Israelite who perfectly demonstrated God's character. He was the true vine, the root and stem to which all God's people would be connected. Life and hope and truth flowed from him to those who put their trust in him, producing fruit like love and joy and peace and patience. We thought in previous episodes how Jesus invited people to become part of his family, to be linked to him and identified with him. When we put our trust in Jesus, it's like being grafted into a vine or a fruit tree. We are saved and transformed by being connected to Jesus, to his death on the cross and to his resurrection. His characteristics become our characteristics. His identity shapes our identity, and his blessings are our blessings. In Christ, we are dearly loved, holy children of God. If we want to have all those wonderful things, we need Jesus. We can't produce the kind of fruit he's after on our own. If we separate ourselves from him, we're separating ourselves from the life and the light and the hope that he came to bring. So let's resist the urge to distance ourselves from Jesus and his bold claims. Let's not let ourselves drift away from his life and his love. And let's not pull away from him because we're afraid of what he might ask of us. Because now we know who it is we're dealing with. He is the bread of life, the light of the world, the gate and the good shepherd. He is the resurrection, the way, the truth and the life. He is the I am, the eternal God. Remain in me, he says, and you will bear much fruit. So here we are, we've got our little transformed cliff area here with the vines and the pond and sort of water feature there, and then we've made terraformed the rest of this hill a little bit, making it all a bit more sort of rocky. Then the greenhouse there, bamboo's growing nicely, bees are working hard, fantastic, and then we just sort of made this look a bit more attractive, a bit of a garden on the hill. I'm going to go round so I don't hurt myself on all those sweet berries. We've got another little pond, and then if we head up the slope, we've got the sort of sweet berries in this area, and then a little gazebo and a place to sit and rest and look at all the lovely things we've built, including our lovely spawn tree down here, now looking magnificent and trailing with glowberries. Yeah, that's looking really nice. So I think we're about done, really. So that's where we're going to finish the episode. We made the village look a whole lot nicer and safer. We built a honey farm and a beautiful greenhouse. We added some aesthetic touches to our base, and we transformed the first tree we ever saw in this world. And we also thought about Jesus, the true vine. We've come a long way since we first arrived in this spot with nothing at all, and now we have a lovely, productive base and a thriving trade with our neighbours. So maybe we'll keep playing in this world and see what else we can discover and build. But for now, that's the end of this little series. Do go back and watch the other episodes if you haven't done that yet, and let me know what you think in the comments. And just one more thing before we end. I've opened each episode by saying how I love Jesus and showing the 3 crosses in the background. If you're watching these videos as they come out, then it's nearly Easter, when Christians remember Jesus' death on the cross and his resurrection. And so I wanted to finish with just a little glimpse of an empty tomb. And a word of hope and encouragement that the light of the world, the Good Shepherd, is alive, and he invites us to come near to keep connected to him and to celebrate his life and his love and his lordship. And with that, I really will finish and say goodbye and God bless you. See ya.